Hey guys, National Master James Canty III here, and today we have Game of the Day at Chess.com with the Pro Chess League playoffs, Canada Chessbrahs versus Chicago Win. Today's game we have, with the white pieces, Grandmaster Jorge Cori versus Alireza Firouzja, Grandmaster with the black pieces. Let's get right into it, guys. This was a wild game. It was so awesome to watch this live. So let's check it out. We have d4, knight f6, knight to f3, d5. Okay, c4 is on the board. We're going for a queen's gambit. He's going for a declined. Queen's gambit declined. Now, in the aggressive stuff for white to try for as some type of advantage would be bishop to g5. Now he plays e3 actually, and he doesn't want to, not that he doesn't want to go for an advantage, but he's like, I don't want to go into the mainline theory here, mainstream stuff, so I'm just going to play e3 and keep it solid. Then he plays bishop to e7. As for Firouzja, plays bishop e7, knight to c3 for Cori, and then castles. And now we have an interesting move, not too interesting, but honestly just a move for you guys to remember. C takes d5. Why? Because if we move our bishop to e2 or d3, there's a capture where now we have to move our bishop a second time, and you usually just don't want to move your bishop too many times, honestly, with that being said. Okay, so pawn takes on d5. He did allow him to open his bishop up, but with good measure and good calls. So bishop to d3, we're hitting the h7 pawn. We're just kind of aiming at this side of the board. It's the best place to put the bishop. Black plays c6 to make everything nice and solid in the center here. We're going to develop our bishop and play knight to d7. Now, white plays an interesting move here, h3, actually stopping bishop to g4. So it's kind of questioning where is his bishop actually going to go. We have these two squares left. The knight on d7 makes it kind of weird, and the bishop can't get out. Then you may have to slow play it with like knight d7, bishop b6, and finally play c5 in Queen's Gambit fashion a lot of times, but also in a semi-Slav or Slav kind of a fashion here. So let's see what happens. h3, black follows up with rook to e8. Very simple, solid move at the same time, also making way for something as simple as things like this as well. Maybe even making some room for the king to go to f8. Okay, so Cori plays queen to c2 here. After queen to c2, Alireza says bishop to d6. We're going to better place our bishop, especially maybe even if you castle this way. A lot of things could actually happen. White plays bishop to d2. Black plays knight b to d7. And here we go. The bishop really didn't have a place to go. If you think about this, if we go back with bishop to e6 here, if we go back bishop to e6 instead of knight b to d7, we actually just blocked this file. The bishop's doing nothing on e6. It kind of sucks to be here. So what he's saying is that, you know what, I'm just going to play knight b to d7. Eventually, especially with the queen on this file, I'm going to do something as simple as playing c5 after developing my bishop. So draw some arrows here. There'll be b6, bishop b7, rook to c8, playing c5 eventually just to open this up. Maybe even play c4 to kick this bishop away from this diagonal and have a good game. The knight has to go somewhere, so preferably probably knight f8 and knight to g6 in nice fashion here. We can draw more and more arrows. Okay, so black has a nice plan here. Black's doing fine, no weaknesses, stuff is solid. Same thing with white, generally no weaknesses. This is slightly weak, this diagonal, and if you push pawns around the king, if you plan to castle this side, then of course you will have some weaknesses, but right now not too much of a weakness to say the least. Now guys, I want you to pause the video and check out this next move for white. What would you play? Could you find white's next move? I'll give you a hint. It is not castling either side. Now, if you come back to the video and you chose this move, g4, whoa, fly back in the seat. That is an awesome move. What is about to happen? This is a king hunt. He's saying, first off, I am not going to castle to this side of the board. I mean, if I am, this is ridiculous. To castle to this side of the board is just almost insane. It's ludicrous here. To castle to this side of the board and push the pawns in front of my king. Now, of course, there are some openings that you could do this, like the Vienna game is one, even black lion, white lion kind of stuff. You could see this g4 happen quite often, actually. So with that being said, of course, the king probably isn't going this way, especially when it's cleared out this way. So if I was playing black here, I'll be like, well, how do I open this up and how do I keep this here for a while? So let's actually see what happens here. G4 is super strong. Now, by the way, quick note here, the engines did not like this move. Now, I always tell a lot of students and players that you should have two evaluations. One is the engine evaluation and one is the human evaluation. As an engine did not like this because black is very solid. There's nothing really saying that black's position is worse at all. Actually, black's very solid here and white did make a committal move here. So at the end of the day, they do like black slightly here, but there's humans. We're playing humans here, right? So G4 happened and then Alireza played queen to e7. White played castle, queenside, we got out of the way, and here we go, black plays knight to e4. So he puts the knight here to block everything, and now this bishop is not hitting much of anything, to say the least. So it's a central play, and it's pretty nice to have the knight in the center here. Feels good. c5 is eventually coming. White plays rook d to f1. Why? Because this is hanging. Let's go back. Knight here. You want to make threats as much as possible. Knight takes f2 is a strong threat, and he could let him take on h7, but honestly, there's just nothing there after king to f8. Maybe even king h8, maybe even king f8, but more king h8. More king h8. So rook d to f1. He chose this rook instead of this rook because this rook can actually maybe help with h4, h5, h6 in some cases one day. Maybe even we may want to go rook to g1 and not have this hanging at the end of the day. And here we go. Firouzja played knight f8 here. The engine didn't like this too much, guys, because of the fact that you didn't have to do this. It wasn't necessary, basically, is what they're saying. b5 is actually the move they recommend here. b5 right now. Don't care about it. You need to get a head start. There's a rule here that you always want to know. Whoever gets to the king first in opposite side castles is going to win. And let's look at this point here. This pawn's already on g4. We're about to start rolling and have a good day and have some fun in the park here with the boys as these get to rolling. Now, as if black's not able to make the same, maybe even a c5 break, there's going to be a problem, and white's going to get to the king first. Hence, he should win. Whoever gets to the king first should win. So after knight to f8, white plays king to b1. So he gets his king out of the way. And of course, a shout out to Ben Feingold, of course. We always play king b1, right? If you ever hear that, king b1. It's just time to put the king on b1, especially if this rook comes to c8, which eventually it should, and play c5. And we know Alireza is a super strong prodigy. So we know he's going to find some of the best moves, if not the best moves, almost every single time. So with that being said, c5 and rook c8 is definitely an idea here. You don't want your king to be here when the party happens, right? So okay, let's see what happened. King to b1, black plays knight to g6. Totally understandable, just putting a knight on a more active square, also still blocking the file here. White plays bishop to c1. Now, bishop e1 was the alternative, just relieving this rook of duty here, and also just, keeping it here just in case of bishop b4 stuff, which actually happened in the game. Bishop b4, you want to make threats here and try to mess up this side of the board as much as you possibly can with white. With black, so you can do it for the white pieces here. Well, he says, you know what, not today. I'm going to move out of the way. I don't want any structural weaknesses. And then black plays bishop to d7. You know what's coming next. Rook to c8 is definitely going to be a thing here. I tell a lot of students you have to attack as much as you can, and if you can't attack, then you make a move that sets up an attack. So after bishop d7, rook c8 this is not a threatening move, but you have to get it off the back rank to play rook c8 and then c5 in an attacking fashion here. After bishop to d7, knight to f4 just to make some trades. If he does capture here, then we do have pawn takes, and we could continue our pawn storm as quickly as possible, and whoever gets to that king first is going to win. What do you think Alireza played here, guys? What do you think he played? Rook c8. Of course, absolutely he did. Rook a to c8. He's ready to play c5. White must act very, very, very quickly here. If we fail to do so, of course, just like we mentioned before, whoever gets to the king first is going to win, and white will definitely get there if black doesn't do something right now. So, okay, rook to a to c8, and knight takes g6 was the next move. So he captured on g6, especially if one of these takes. Let's see what happens. So he did take with the h-pawn. Usually you take towards the center. F-pawn's usually not the best to take in this situation. Taking towards the center is better. White follows a nice move, follows up with a nice move of knight e5. Good square for the knight. Yeah, there's double pawns for black, but this also gives us an open h-file right now to open the file up and maybe even swing the queen around in good fashion to go for checkmates if he allows us to do so. What do you think black play here? c5. What else would we do? It's time to do something right now. If you're playing white here, you are under fire. You are definitely under fire. Now you need to find a move for white. Can you pause the video and find a move for white here? If you come back to the video and you said queen to e2, you are 100% correct, because that's what he chose here. He said, I'm not going to stay in this file. I'm not going to stay in this x-ray at all. Not something I'm a fan of. I don't want to do it. So he's going to move to this side of the board with intentions of maybe even going to this side of the board. Let's see what happens actually. Alireza says c4. So now I get a tempo on his bishop. So once you move it or do anything with it besides taking on e4, I can follow up with c3 as well, especially something like bishop c2. c3 could be very problematic. Very, very problematic here. So after that, bishop takes e4, d takes e4, and now we have a move f4. He's ready to strike. c3 is definitely a move, and that's exactly what happens. After c3, black's attack seems like it's coming first. It seems like he's here. Whoever gets to the king first is going to win, right? But white's just getting started. So let's see what happens. f5 right now. Yeah, you can take this. You can even check me. If you check me, I'm going to go king a1. Honestly, black's attack has diminished. Honestly, you can probably resign if you play c2. Now, pawn takes b2 is your best hope for anything because you do open the file. This is a weak square. There's weak squares around the king. Maybe we can do something. Now, after f5, we have bishop to a4. Bishop a4, so now he's setting up. After pawn takes, we're going to put something on the c2 square. That's exactly what this is about. After bishop to a4, f takes g6 happens, and now guys, this is a very critical moment. This is huge. This is probably the biggest moment of the game. In fact, it is the biggest moment of the game right here. F takes g6. Pause the video. What would you actually play? Let's flip the board actually. Flip the board. Look at it from black's point of view. If you're looking at this from Firouzja's point of view here, what are you actually going to do? Are you going to play f6? Are you going to play f takes g6? Are you going to play c2? What are you going to do? You need to find something very fast because the king is under attack. Now, after pausing the video and coming back, let's flip the board. Let's check it out. Firouzja played f6. But it's wrong. That is not a move, actually. Let's go back. The best sequence is actually leaving white in trouble. f6 loses. F takes g6 is actually winning. Insane. Let's check it out. F takes g6. If after f takes g6, rook f7, white's feeling fine here. Oh, yeah, we're doing great. Rook on a7. This should be out. But try again. It's actually queen to d6. After queen to d6, we don't really have anything to do. We don't have enough pieces. How many pieces does it take for a successful attack, class? Raise your hand. That's 3. Absolutely. Usually 3. Sometimes 2, but usually 3 or more. We only have 2, and this one's not doing anything. This one's stuck. This queen's doing nothing. Looks are very deceiving in chess here. So after that, we still have to do something here. Best line that was given was b takes c3. After b takes c3, bishop takes c3, and black is now the one with a winning attack. Crazy how this happens. Queen b4 is a nasty move, and all kind of things are going to happen in this position. It can get really bad really soon, but unfortunately, Firouzja plays f6. f6 leads us to this beautiful move played by white. If your tactics are on today, if you've done some puzzle rush, if you haven't done some puzzle rush, now's your chance. Pause the video once again and find the move for white. What did Jorge Cori, Grandmaster, play in this position? Now, if you come back to this position and you say g5, you pat yourself on the back. Absolutely, you're thinking like a GM does. G5, absolutely. What is this about? It's queen h5, queen h7 mate, and have a good day. It's going to be over very, very soon. If he doesn't do anything, he needs to act now. I remember watching this live, and I was like, whoa, what is about to happen is about to get crazy here. This is exactly why I came here today. I'm excited to see what happens, and let's see what happens. So after g5, the move here, actually, he took on b2. C takes b2. You have to go for it, okay? Bishop takes b2. We don't want to give him anything, any kind of captures and all that weird stuff. Rook to c2. There it is. It's about to get crazy. He's like, go for the mate. I don't care because you might get mated first. Let's see what happens here, guys. Make sure you do not take your eyes off the screen. Rook to c2. Queen h5. White threatens mate. And he's also, he's just threatening mate. Like there's nothing else. He's threatening mate, and black must, you have to, like, you can't get out of this. You can't take anything because this is gone. You can't move the king. You don't have anything else to do but to sack the rook. And this is correct. Now, rook takes b2. Okay, king has to take, or it's just no good. Okay, bishop c3. Bishop a3 was another try, which is much longer, but bishop to c3 is the best try. Actually, so but bishop to c3 was the move played in the game. King takes c3. White king is sitting here already in the middle of the street by himself, no friends around. It's going to get very, very scary if he doesn't figure this out. Firouzja follows up, rook to c8, check, bam, there it is. And actually, if we find this move, if you like queen a3 was an option, but why he didn't choose it is because after king d2, queen to b2 check, and then king back to e1, black is going to run out of checks, and it's over at this point. You still can't stop the mate. I'm going to just run over here to the other side of civilization and have a good day. And it's over. It's over. Again, it takes 2 to 3 pieces for a successful attack, usually 3. Now, of course, once you sack one, then you sack another, and then you just start losing. You don't have enough material. King takes c3, rook to c8, check. He blocks with the knight. Uh-oh, this knight is definitely going to help us a lot. So rook takes c4, because if we go through the same line again with check, it's not going to be any good as I run away. I can't take the queen, of course, because it's pinned. So rook takes c4, king takes c4, b5 check. Look at this, guys. Do you think, at any chance, by any chance, that white is going to be able to get out of this with 2 pieces being attacked, or 2 pieces attacking for black here. And honestly, virtually maybe one piece, because this bishop's hitting this diagonal when all we have to do is go towards the dark squares and just run away. Let's see what happens. King to c3. King d5 will be a step too far due to perpetual checks on queen to b7, almost mating, almost. So we go back, king to c3, queen a3 check, king d2 happens, queen d3, king e1, he takes on e3 with check, and now what do you do, guys? You don't have any other moves but to block with the queen. I remember seeing this sequence and calculating myself, like, I think he's out of checks, but I was like, I can't believe it. It seemed so good. The sacrifice, everything seemed great. Like, what happened here? Queen to e2. White's queen is able to defend, and the game is going to be soon to be over if we can't find anything. Here's a check. Bam. King to d2. And at this moment, I remember watching the Twitch channel when Alireza Firouzja shook his head. And at this point, we knew it was over. King to d2, queen takes g5, queen e3. He followed up with queen to d5, not even checking because it doesn't matter, really. It just doesn't even matter. Honestly, we can maybe just block queen to f2. Or really anything else almost. Maybe even king c3 is probably no good because of checks and stuff. But to say the least, actually, we're out. And maybe king e1 actually runs out of all the checks. And we're fine. Queen to d5. Okay, rook to c1, able to hit him here. He took on a2, king to e1, and resigned immediately after king to e1. What a game. That was insane. And this is the Pro Chess League playoffs. This was so awesome. But, you know, this was today's game of the day, guys. I hope you enjoyed this today. I'm National Master James Canty III, and make sure that you guys check out the other game of the day videos right above me, guys. And I'll see you on the next one.